Everybody, happy Monday evening to you. So you get two videos from me. You know, I always go in on black conservative buck dancers. I think Jason Whitlock is one that's just like really like, dude, just shut up. Like I recently saw there was a incident where obviously there was a white man shooting a black man. The video is out. And the first thing, the go to for black conservatives for when it comes to situations like that is that it's always compliance. It's always the black person not complying. And that's why they suffered the fate that they did. And it's just such a recycled, junky argument that even white people were cutting into his ass on Twitter to the point where he ended up deleting the post. This dude, he's really working for them coins. The black conservatives, they're like I said, they understand that pandering to a segment of white America that thinks that black people are ignorant and unhinged is the way to get coins, right? Because they always gonna need a black person to say the things that they wish that they could say without looking like complete bigots, or because they've got to suppress their inner bigot, right? And they can't let people know for professional reasons that they are a bigot. But black liberals, right? I don't really talk a lot about them. I really don't. I don't think about black liberals like ever, like because I don't think I have a hyper political position to just talk about black liberals, right? The conservatives tend to be more in my face, so there's so much to commentate on. But when I catch a black liberal, right, placating into the same old, right? It's always interesting to me, but I think the last conversation that I facilitated about Jasmine Crockett and why I still believe, haven't deviated, no matter how many passionately ignorant people want to chime in, I still believe that she is projecting the stereotype of black women, and there's so many clips of her doing that, right? And so a lot of people would argue, well, what's wrong with being a black woman? And it's like, okay, slowness. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a black woman. Obviously there. What I am saying is that there are idealisms of black women, projections of what black women should be like, behave like, and sometimes you can feed those projections by letting people bait you. And so, again, Marjorie Taylor Greene baited Jasmine Crockett and she bit. But off of that, black liberals, right, they have this mindset that there is an idea of blackness and that there is an idea of the black identity. And when you ask them what that is, it's like, well, how we think, how we talk. And it's like, well, what does that mean specifically, right? What we go through, what we struggle with, it's like, okay, well, your idea of blackness, has everything to do with conflict, being a conflicted person. And because you absorb this idea of blackness, you have not been able to actualize yourself as an individual, And so for me, black is sort of what I am. It's not who I am. The characteristics that I choose to manifest, those things are who I am, right? So if I'm a person that says, I like pattern logical arguments, I look at things in a pattern logical way. If I see a reoccurring theme to something, then my conclusions tend to be valid because I keep seeing it, right? So it doesn't matter if you assess some of the black faces, I'm not going to say all of them, but some of the black faces that the Democrats prop, they have significantly less grace than those that the Republicans prop. Like, I would give you a prime example. I think Condoleezza Rice is a prime Black woman. I think that she's a graceful Black woman. I don't agree with her politics. I don't believe with her decisions in office or whatnot. But in terms of the character that she is, it is undeniable that Condoleezza Rice handles herself with grace. And she is my kind of Black woman, right? Just because her character is not manifested the same way as what you would see of the stereotypical Black woman. And a lot of people, it is triggering for them to even have conversations like this about the different characteristics and personalities of Black people, because they have been conditioned to believe that we are just in this one bubble and we're all the same. And, if you meet one Black person or Black woman, you've kind of met them all because they all kind of manifest the same characteristics. And that's just not true. Right. And I don't care if I'm not invited to the cookout, because depending on what kind of Black person it is, I probably wouldn't go. Some guy told me that I was not invited to the cookout, and I'm like, thanks, because usually if, you're a person who comes into a conversation with ignorance, you're probably not the cookout I want to go to. But Democrat Blacks, they're interesting because they use emotionally charged arguments to make themselves look substantial. And I've debated with Democrat Blacks before, and they all do the same thing. If they can't win the argument, if you're coming at them with too much logic, they'll start using emojis and memes, and it's like, I won. Stupid people do that. People with weak arguments, or arguments where they can't provide rebuttals to what was put on the table, they start using excessively memes and emojis, and you just know that you won the argument after that. But I'm not saying all liberal Blacks, because I think some of them really are more independent than they want to claim. But there are many passionately ignorant liberal Blacks that have this non-Black idea of what the Black struggle should be in 2024. And it's a very old argument. That's why you will hear these recycled struggle junkie Blacks who hail from the race hustlers incubators known as HBCUs, which consequently is not owned by Black people. I would venture to say, if you look at their boards, you will see majority of non-Black people there. They're not owned by Black people, but they're race hustler incubators all the same, right? And so a lot of times your Black politicians are hailing from these non-Black funded incubators of thought to push out our next generation of politicians, to make sure that they fall in line with, the party, right? So I've never seen a Black Democrat really be deflective of what the white establishment Democrats want, because they know that they got the money. The white establishment Democrats have the money, right? So they got to play ball. If they want to get reelected and, have their little glory horse seat in the House of Snakes, right? They got to play ball with the white-looking Democrats. But off that, idealisms of Blackness, I don't subscribe to them. I wasn't raised to subscribe to them. Matter of fact, my mom highlighted all the stereotypes about Black women, and she refused to allow us to meet up to them. And so we had to speak with etiquette. We had to make sure that, we were lettered in whatever we were saying. We had to make sure that we had a conviction of some sort about our belief systems, and it couldn't be bandwagon. So, when it comes to idealisms of Black women, I've been told my entire life that you act like a white woman. And I feel like that's more of an insult to Black women, to believe that if you decide to operate with a chiller temper, and if you can rebut things in a, logical way without the emotions, right? Um, I would think that, that is something that would be, a sort of, what would you say? You get brownie points for stuff like that, I guess. But, it's intimidating to some people because they're like, you're trying to act white. And it's like, what is acting white? Like, I don't even know what white culture really looks like. You know what I mean? And if you're appropriating intelligence, high intelligence, logical thinking, and reasoning with white culture, you're a very sad person. Like, you're sad. Like, you have a very low opinion of yourself, and maybe you should get some like motivational speaker adjustments for that. But that's what those idealisms of Blackness will kind of get you to, right? If I bought into the idealisms of Blackness, right, I would be, everything in my life would be because of racism. And I mean, a lot of things are because of racism. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some racist ass people in this country of all colors. But I would say recently, the racists in the last 4 years have just really come out to play. And they've manifested themselves. They don't, they are out here. Thanks to Trump, he brought them out. Hey, he went into those rural areas when the Democrats and even the Republicans wouldn't do it, and he brought them out into the process. So, hey, he did, Trump kind of played the Democrat card where they always going and targeting disenfranchised blacks that they're never going to help. So he's like, hell, let me go holler at these deplorables. I mean, they're passionately ignorant anyways. I'm not trying to be funny. Sure, there's a lot of smart people in Trump's space. And I know a lot of smart people that voted for Trump. I voted for Trump. In the last cycle, I didn't vote for Biden. But he did not pull the most intelligent of bases. And then you have people like Candace Owens actually trying to validate that ignorant portion of white America into believing that all black people were intellectually inferior to them by overly projecting images of black stereotypes and inferiority. So, I mean, literally the black image really doesn't, it can't take a break on either side, right? We are either struggle junkies or we're lazy, not motivated, and low IQ. So I like the independent space, right? I just feel more like a black woman, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm just a person with black skin, and I'm just like watching all these people like with their identity crises. And I'm just like, who's not racist? You know what I mean? Like, you are my spirit animal, right? Because there are some people like on both sides, black, white, Puerto Rican, Haitian. There are just some racist people in this nation, and they're addicted to these categories, right? And somebody was like, you just really don't want to be black. And it's just like, well, if you can just tell me what it means to be black. And, because right now it's just boiling down to a complexion. Doesn't really say any of this. Complexion does nothing to my character. I mean, I come with my strength, but I know a lot of strong women of all colors. I have my logic. I don't let people punk me around, but I know how to gracefully shut people down, especially in certain settings too. Like, I wouldn't shut somebody down in the same manner in like an office meeting that I would like if I was hanging out at my cousin's house. I mean, it's just you got to have time, place, and manner. Time, place, and manner, right? Time, place, and manner. If people can remember that, You won't hear me say anything about how somebody clapped back at what. But that was not the time, that was not the place, and that was not the manner for any of that. Either way. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.